Costs of operating. How do the economics of these firms stack up when your wage bill looks apparently so high?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's no question about that. And what you have to do, what we have done, is focused on certain kinds of client. We have a very small number of clients, and one of the things that multifamily offices have in common is that they are small in scale by nature. These are small groups of people. There aren't many multifamily offices that have thousands of people, and that both presents an opportunity to collect people that want that in that part of their career, as often people do, but also it presents some challenges, and what we have to be is incredibly disciplined as to what we deliver and the clients, what our client requirement is, and focus exclusively on that. So it is really the top end of the ultra high net worth market that we are specifically focused on, and it would be difficult to see that how we could, whilst there is potentially the demand for coming down below that, it's difficult to see how we could actually service that, and therefore we simply don't. So it's really about discipline.
It's actually the firms of our size that are now caught between, we're called big, small companies, we're called boutiques, but we're not in that 10 plus bracket. And actually it's the middle and back office that's really, really beginning to hurt. But really it's the weight of regulation and the onset of the likes of MiFID that really, I think, really keep us awake at night.
We've addressed that through outsourcing, and and the way that we've negotiated our outsourcing contract, so it's a function of our revenue, and that allows us to sort of operate in that in a way that we couldn't if we had to build from the ground up these infrastructures.
I think we see two trends there. One is labor arbitrage, which basically is outsourcing to these places, be it in Eastern Europe or be it in India. However, we've seen that for a longer period. I think we see another trend which is a bit more recent from my point of view, but will carry us probably further. And that is that we look into how we run these processes. And through digitalization, we have completely different means to set ourselves up in a very efficient way. For that, it is also core that we do not try to operate a portfolio of distinct independent wealth management franchises across the whole of Europe, but we focus our operations, our IT, in hubs where we can invest some resources into being compliant with all the regulatory requirements, but have significant resources left to invest in digitalization, in technology that helps us, A, to operate more cost efficiently, but then again also be innovative when it comes to client service.
Some clients actually don't like going to opulent offices. They think, this is where my fees go, and they like to go to somewhere that's professional and presentable, but going to somebody that's very grand in a very expensive postcode is not necessarily a good thing in their mind. And at a multifamily office like Boston, I'm sure others, sometimes our client is the UBO, the ultimate beneficial owner, and that will depend on the profile of the family. If it's perhaps a family office servicing multiple generations with multiple family members, 20 plus, then you probably are dealing with the advisors. If it's first generation, then you're probably dealing with the ultimate beneficial owner, and they are very keen on value for money. And the labour point, yes, the biggest cost in our business and similar businesses is the people, but more than a cost, it's actually an investment, because we are a service-led business, and you have to be if you're servicing private clients. And so it's an investment that you must make. And of course, you take the efficiencies through technology wherever you can, but you can't scrimp on quality staff to service the clients.
And Paul Kearney, at Kleinwort and SocGen, can administration and back office work actually be done elsewhere, or does it very much have to be London and Paris?
We have work done across Europe. We have work done across the UK, in fact, and we are implementing outsourcing arrangements at the moment. I think, Ian's point about scale, it was a driving factor of the acquisition of Kleinwort by Hambros. Both of them were mid-sized banks. The costs of the huge regulatory change agenda that we've been subject to over the last 5 years, the drive for transparency, the drive for investor protection, the drive for efficiency means that, there is a need for scale, I think, in the business that we operate. It's not possible to be a small private bank. as it may have been 10 or 20 years ago.